My cheating wife returned home from her date with her alpha boss, a fair partner, smiling like nothing was wrong. It was 1:24 a.m. The soft click of our front door snapped me awake. I'd been lying in the dark for hours, pretending to sleep, eyes locked on the bedroom ceiling, wondering how deep her betrayal really went. And now, she was finally home. Her heels clicked against the hardwood floor like a countdown to impact. I sat up, heart pounding, waiting. And then I saw her. Jessica. She walked into our bedroom wearing a black silk dress, low cut, tied around the hips, still smelling like someone else's damn cologne. Her lipstick was smeared just slightly at the corner of her mouth, and her hair, that blonde wave I used to run my fingers through, was a little too messed up to blame on the wind. And she was smiling. Smiling. "Hey, baby," she said like she hadn't just come back from laying with another man. I didn't answer, just stared. "What?" she asked with a laugh. "You look like you've seen a ghost." I wanted to scream, to throw something, but I stayed silent. I was too stunned, too shattered. All I could do was watch the woman I once adored peel off her heels like nothing happened, like she hadn't just destroyed everything. She walked over to the mirror, humming some stupid tune, and wiped off her lipstick. "That new Italian place? Incredible," she said with a smirk. They had this truffle pasta that. She froze. Just for a second. Barely noticeable. But I caught it. That twitch in her eyes. That pause. I stood up slowly. "You were with him again, weren't you?" I asked, my voice lower than I'd ever heard it. "Logan, your boss." Jessica turned, laughing nervously. "Don't be ridiculous, Matt. Logan's my boss." "Yeah, but it was just a team dinner." I stepped forward. "At 1 in the morning? While wearing that dress?" She rolled her eyes. "God, are you really going to do this right now? You sound paranoid." Paranoid. That word bounced around my skull like a bullet. I reached into my hoodie pocket and pulled out her phone. She left it unlocked on the kitchen counter earlier. I'd seen the texts. All of them. "You make me forget I'm married," face blowing a kiss. "Tonight was perfect. Can't wait to taste you again. Wear that black dress I like." I tossed the phone onto the bed. The screen still lit up with her last message to Logan. Jessica stared at it, then looked at me. That fake smile dropped. Silence. Then her voice changed, icy and sharp. "So you've been spying on me now?" "I was hoping I was wrong," I said. "I prayed I was crazy. That maybe you really were working late. That you really were with friends. But no. You were out screwing your boss, Jess." She crossed her arms. "Don't act so innocent. You knew things were off between us. And that gives you the right to go behind my back? To lie to me every single night? In our home?" Jessica shrugged. "Maybe if you'd been less boring in bed, I wouldn't have needed anyone else." That sentence shattered something in me. She didn't flinch, didn't apologize. She looked at me like I was the burden, like she was the victim here. And then she turned, walked into the bathroom, and shut the door. Just like that. No remorse. No guilt. No shame. I stood there, still trembling, fists clenched. Everything inside me wanted to burst, to break something, to wake up and realize it was just a nightmare. But it wasn't. This was real. I looked around our bedroom, the room we shared for 7 years. The photos on the wall, the wedding picture, her perfume on the dresser. All of it, now stained with betrayal. And then something inside me shifted. I wasn't just heartbroken anymore. I was done. But this was just the beginning. Tomorrow, she'd wake up and realize I wasn't the same Matt she left behind. I was going to make her pay, not with fists, not with screams, but with cold, calculated silence. Let her smile now. She won't be smiling for long. I didn't sleep that night. Just sat there in the dark, listening to the sound of water running from the bathroom, the faint hum of her voice as she sang to herself like she hadn't just burned our marriage to the ground. My mind went back over every moment, every little sign I ignored. The sudden obsession with her phone, how she started taking it into the bathroom, even during showers. The new lingerie I'd never seen her wear for me. The way she used to send me long messages during the day, that slowly turned into cold one-liners. And of course, the work trips that came out of nowhere. I remembered one night last month. She said she was going to stay at her sister Amanda's because they had wine and girl talk planned. But Amanda accidentally texted me asking if Jess had picked up her jacket she left 2 weeks ago. When I asked Jessica about it, she laughed it off, said Amanda was confused. But Amanda wasn't confused. None of them were. The whole time, I was the one being played. Around 3:12 a.m., She came out of the bathroom wearing that same smug face. You're not sleeping? I didn't answer. She sighed, annoyed. Are you really going to mope all night like a little? Shut up, Jessica. She blinked. Excuse me. I stood, walked to the dresser, pulled out the small black folder I kept hidden behind some old sweaters. Inside, printouts of texts, call logs, photos from the private investigator I hired 3 weeks ago when my gut told me something was off. I handed it to her without saying a word. She flipped through it. At first, casually. Then her hands started to tremble. You followed me? She snapped. No, I said coldly. I paid someone else to. Unlike you, I don't lie to the people I claim to love. She threw the folder on the ground. So what? You want a trophy? You think you're some genius for hiring a damn spy? You could have just told me the truth. She laughed. Laughed. Oh, please. You would have cried like a puppy. You always wanted this perfect little world. The dinner dates, the movie nights, the good wife act. But guess what, Matt? That wasn't me. You just didn't see it. I did now. All of it. The real her. Not the woman I married, but the woman she'd become. Cold. Cruel. Shameless. Why him? I asked. Of all people. Logan? The guy who flirts with interns in front of HR. She smiled wickedly. Because he made me feel wanted. Like a woman. Not a roommate with a ring. That one hit deep. She grabbed her pillow, stormed out of the room, and slammed the guest room door. I sat down again, staring at the wall. My ears were ringing. My heart felt like it was being ripped apart by dull blades. But beneath the pain, there was clarity. I knew now. This wasn't about me not being enough. This was about her never being satisfied. She needed attention the way addicts need a fix. She'd always find someone else to make her feel important. And when they were done using her, she'd come crawling back to me with the same fake smile. Not anymore. Tomorrow, I'd see a lawyer. She wouldn't know it yet. I'd let her enjoy her morning coffee, scroll through her texts, maybe even plan another work dinner. Then I'd drop the papers on the table. Quietly, calmly. Let her smile through that. Let's see how that mouth twists when the game flips. By the time the sun rose, I'd already packed half her things. Not sloppily, not out of anger. Precisely, calmly. Every dress folded. Every pair of heels tucked into their boxes. I left her the stuff she brought into the marriage. The fancy bags, the overpriced skincare junk, even the ring she'd stopped wearing 2 months ago. I didn't touch the wedding album. That one stayed on the shelf like a headstone. Jessica came down around 9, still in that silk robe, phone in hand, scrolling like her world hadn't just caught fire the night before. She froze when she saw the suitcase by the door. What is this? I didn't look up from my coffee. You're going to your sister's. She scoffed. Are you serious right now? Completely. She stepped closer. Matt, don't be dramatic. People work through this kind of stuff. You think every couple out there is monogamous forever? Grow up. I set the cup down. You lied to me for months. You let me hold you, kiss you, sleep next to you, all while you were letting another man use you like his plaything. I paused. You broke something you can't fix. Jessica narrowed her eyes. Oh, please. Logan's better for me in every way. He doesn't sulk. He doesn't whine. And he actually knows what he's doing in bed. I stood up, walked over to her. Slowly. And yet here you are? Still in my house. Still trying to use my money. Still begging for attention from the man you claim isn't enough. That shut her up for a second. But not for long. You want me gone? Fine. You'll regret it. You think some boring divorce is the end of me? I'll get half, Matt. Maybe more. I'll bleed you dry and leave you with your little bitterness and your sad apartment. I nodded slowly. Try it. Just know, I've already locked the bank accounts. Canceled your cards. My lawyer's expecting your call. Her face went pale. Not from fear. From rage. Pure, toxic rage. You're an idiot, she whispered. Logan's going to take care of me anyway. I'll be living better than ever. Great, I said. Then you don't need anything from me. She grabbed her phone, dialed fast, put it to her ear. Hey babe, he's kicking me out. Yeah, like right now. Can you come pick? She stopped. Silence. Then, what do you mean you're busy? Her tone shifted. You said last night. No, I'm not being crazy, Logan. Are you kidding me right now? She hung up, threw her phone on the floor. It bounced once and cracked. I watched her fall apart without a single word. All that confidence, that smugness, gone in 30 seconds. Jessica looked up at me like I was supposed to comfort her. But I'd never felt colder. You thought he was going to save you? I said. You were just a game to him, Jess. The married girl. The secret thrill. And now you're yesterday's news. She stared at me, eyes wide, breath short. She looked terrified. I turned away. Your Uber's 5 minutes away. She didn't move. Then, finally, she grabbed the suitcase and stormed out. Didn't say goodbye. Didn't slam the door. Just left. The moment the door shut, I collapsed into the kitchen chair and cried like I hadn't cried in years. The tears weren't loud. No sobbing, no theatrics. Just a slow, silent leak from the corner of my eye as I sat there, staring at the empty doorway. I don't even know what I was crying for anymore. The loss of her, or the loss of who I thought she was. You spend years with someone, building, laughing, dreaming, and it's like suddenly you realize none of it was real. It was a rented fantasy, and the lease just expired. I wiped my face, stood up, and looked around the house. Everything felt unfamiliar. The couch we picked together, the photos lining the wall, her perfume still hanging in the air like smoke after a fire. I walked to the fireplace, pulled down the picture frame of our anniversary trip to Aspen, the one where she wore that white beanie and clung to me like I was the center of her world. What a damn joke. I opened the back, took out the photo, and tore it right down the middle, right through her smile. My phone buzzed on the counter. It was Amanda, her sister. Amanda, hey, Jess is crying her eyes out here. What happened? I stared at the screen for a full minute before replying. Me. Ask her about Logan. 3 dots appeared, then disappeared, then silence. Figures. Nobody ever wants to get in the middle, even when the truth's obvious. By noon, I started clearing out everything. Her books, her makeup from the bathroom, even her fancy wine glasses. I boxed it all and labeled it, Return TO Sender. Around 3, I heard a knock at the door. I opened it to see her standing there again. Hair tied back, no makeup, hoodie and leggings, a look she hadn't worn in months. I forgot my laptop, she muttered, eyes low. I stepped aside. She walked in like a ghost of the woman who strutted through the house last night. No words, just straight to the office, grabbed her MacBook, and paused at the door. Matt. I didn't answer. I don't know what to say. I finally looked at her, and for the first time, I saw it, the crack in the mask. The girl who knew she'd gambled everything for a thrill and lost. But I didn't care. I already said everything that matters. She opened her mouth like she wanted to explain, to rewrite history, but I didn't give her the chance. Just go, Jess. She nodded and left. This time, I locked the door behind her. And then I did something I hadn't done in weeks. I opened the windows, turned on some music, and started making dinner. For myself. Just me. No pretending. No fake smiles. It was the first quiet I'd had in a long, long time. That night, the silence wasn't empty. It was peaceful. No fake laughs echoing down the hallway. No lies clinging to the air like smoke. Just the sound of a pan sizzling and the quiet hum of the fridge. I sat alone at the dinner table, eating scrambled eggs and toast, and realized how rare it felt to actually enjoy my own company. For so long, I'd been performing, trying to keep things together, walking on eggshells around her moods, her absences, her sharp tongue. I didn't even notice how heavy that had become until the weight lifted. But peace has a strange way of making you feel everything all at once. I wasn't over it. Not even close. That kind of betrayal doesn't evaporate overnight. It stays in your bones, like winter. I could still hear her laugh in my head, the mocking one she used when she thought she had the upper hand. I checked my phone. No messages. No calls. A part of me, the idiot part, expected her to send something. An apology. A threat. Anything. But there was nothing. I opened Instagram and saw she'd posted a story. Just a black screen with the words, "Some people only love the version of you they can control." I almost laughed. That's what she thought this was. Control? No, Jessica. You weren't controlled. You were trusted. And you shattered that trust like it meant nothing. I closed the app. Took a long shower. Stood under the hot water until my skin burned a little. Tried to let the heat wash away the filth she left behind. Around midnight, the doorbell rang. I froze. Walked slowly down the stairs. Peered through the peephole. It wasn't her. It was Logan. Smug bastard. Standing there in a pressed shirt. Like he'd just come from some overpriced bar. Hair slicked back. Jaw clenched like he owned the world. I opened the door halfway. Didn't say a word. He looked at me, hands in his pockets. "Hey," he said, like we were old friends. I didn't answer. "I didn't come here to fight," he added quickly. I just wanted to clear the air. I stepped out onto the porch, shut the door behind me. You've got 30 seconds, I said flatly. He nodded, glanced around, then looked me dead in the eye. Jessica meant nothing, he said. That was his opener. I didn't know how far it went until she started talking about leaving you. I told her to back off. I told her I wasn't going to be part of some homewrecker drama. I'm not trying to ruin lives, man. I stared at him. You already did. He raised his hands. Look, I get it. I screwed up, but I didn't think she'd. What? Fall apart when you cut her off. He paused. Yeah, that hit home. You don't need to worry, I said, stepping closer. You're not part of this story anymore. But if you ever show up at my house again, I won't be this calm. He opened his mouth to say something else, then thought better of it. Turned. Left. I watched him walk down the sidewalk, get into his Mercedes, and drive off into whatever pathetic chapter of his life came next. Then I went back inside, locked the door. Again. The next morning started with sunlight, not stress. No makeup brushes clattering in the bathroom. No passive-aggressive slamming of kitchen drawers. Just a soft golden light creeping through the blinds and the faint hum of the city waking up. I made black coffee, sat by the window, watched people walk their dogs, joggers pass by. A couple arguing at the corner like nothing else in the world mattered except whose turn it was to take out the trash. The normalcy of it all felt surreal, like I'd just stepped out of a hurricane into a quiet park. But the storm hadn't passed completely. There were messages, texts from mutual friends, all dancing around the subject. Heard about you and Jess. Everything okay? Or, I never liked Logan anyway. They acted like I'd broken a vase. Something minor. Fixable. But nobody really understood. You don't just get cheated on, you get hollowed out. You question every memory, every kiss, every time she said, I love you. You start wondering if any of it was real, or if you were just a convenience. A placeholder until something shinier came along. Around noon, my lawyer called. Papers were drafted. I just needed to sign. I drove over, calm as a monk, and put my name where it needed to go. A clean break. No alimony. No shared property beyond what I'd already packed for her. We had no kids, thank God, so there were no custody battles or ruined holidays to fight over. Just signatures. Ink on paper. By the time I got home, her car was already gone from the street. She'd come while I was out. Took the rest of her things. No note. No voicemail. No final I'm sorry. Good. I didn't want one. That night, I found myself standing in the hallway, staring at the empty coat rack. There used to be her red trench coat hanging there, the one she wore on our second anniversary. We'd laughed in the rain, dancing like idiots in the middle of the sidewalk. I remembered that moment like it was yesterday. Turns out, that memory was a lie too. I went to bed early. Slept like I hadn't in weeks. No footsteps pacing outside the room. No whispered phone calls in the bathroom. No nightmares about finding lipstick on someone else's collar. Just sleep. Real, deep, dreamless sleep. And in the morning, for the first time in months, I didn't think of her the second I opened my eyes. Days turned into weeks. And with each passing one, it got easier to breathe. At first, I kept expecting something. A knock at the door, an email begging for another chance. Maybe a sudden apology wrapped in half-truths and crocodile tears. But nothing came. She disappeared as fast as she had changed. Like her exit was just the next role she had to play. Maybe Logan found someone newer, someone dumber. Or maybe she was busy tearing someone else's world apart the same way she did mine. I stopped caring. I poured myself into work, into fixing the apartment, into going to the gym every morning before sunrise. The soreness felt good, like punishment, or maybe purification. I started talking to people again. Real conversations. Not the fake smiles and everything's fine I used to wear like armor. Amanda texted a few times. At first, she was defensive. She thought I was overreacting, that maybe Jessica had just made a mistake. But when I sent her the screenshots, the surveillance photos, the time-stamped messages, she went silent. Then one night, around 2 a.m., Amanda sent me another message. Amanda, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I swear to God if I had, I would have told you. I believed her. She wasn't like Jess. She had a conscience. A heart. I didn't respond. Not because I was angry. Just what was there left to say? The next weekend, I cleaned out the last drawer in the guest room. The one she always used for her journals and sketchbooks. Tucked in the back, I found a page she'd torn out and folded a dozen times. On it, in her handwriting, Sometimes I wonder if I'm even capable of love, or if I just like the feeling of being desired. I stared at those words until they blurred. That sentence haunted me more than anything she ever said to my face. Because it was real. It was the only moment of truth I'd ever seen from her. And it wasn't written for me. It was probably written for herself. Or for Logan. Or some twisted fantasy of who she wanted to be. That's when it finally clicked. It was never about me. I didn't fail. I didn't lose her. She was never mine to begin with. She was always halfway out the door, chasing something that would make her feel whole for 5 minutes before she started burning everything again. So I lit a match. Burned the note. Let the smoke carry that final piece of her away. The next morning, I stood in the mirror and saw someone I hadn't seen in a long time. Me. Not the version she twisted. Not the shell I became. Just me. Broken maybe, but healing. Quiet, but free. It took a while, but one night, sitting on the balcony with a glass of whiskey and the city lights flickering below me, I realized something. I wasn't angry anymore. Not really. Yeah, I still remembered the way she smiled that night. That cruel, empty smile when she walked in after being with him. I still heard her voice in my head sometimes. That sharp little laugh when she mocked me like I was some naive fool who didn't know how the world worked. But it didn't hurt like before. It didn't pull me under. It was just a scar. And scars don't bleed. They remind. A few weeks later, I bumped into someone from our old circle. Kenny, a guy we used to hang out with at dinner parties. He looked awkward at first, like he didn't know what to say. Then he leaned in and said, I heard about what happened, man. I'm sorry. She always had that look in her eye, you know? Like she was hunting something. I laughed for the first time in a long time. Not out of bitterness. Just pure, stupid relief. Because I wasn't crazy. I wasn't paranoid. I'd just been in love with a woman who saw loyalty as weakness and kindness as something to exploit. I don't regret loving her. I regret not loving myself enough to walk away sooner. Now I do. I spend my weekends hiking, boxing at the gym, reading books that have nothing to do with healing or heartbreak. I meet people without flinching when they say something kind. I trust a little slower, but I don't carry her poison in my chest anymore. And if I could say one thing to someone who's in the middle of what I went through, it'd be this. Don't waste your time trying to fix someone who's still breaking you. When someone shows you who they really are, believe them. The first time. And when they walk in smiling like nothing's wrong, like they didn't just rip your heart out behind your back, smile back. Because nothing ruins them more than realizing they no longer have the power to hurt you.